Hello, everyone. This is the Easy Allies podcast. I'm your moderator, Kyle Bossman, and joining us this week, Ben Moore.
Hey, hey.
Daniel Bloodworth.
100.
And Brandon Jones.
Woo!
Unfortunately, Don Casanova will not be joining us tonight. Why is that, Don?
Highly unusual week, Kyle. Highly unusual week for me this week. Excuse me, Jones. To keep it short, basically, Jones knows this. I've been borrowing his slow cooker since over the Christmas break. Way too long now. Finally got a slow cooker of my own. Found it. But the thing that really, the twist here is that inside of the small slow cooker, a small bit of uranium, actually, is what I found. Yeah, it's not refined like you're thinking of, so, but nevertheless, there's some value there. So, what do you know about Carlsbad?
Which one? California or
New Mexico?
I've been there once.
Yeah, so you know there's not a lot there other than giant underground caverns, down below, up top, tobacco farming. I got a guy there. He's going to help me turn it around. The issue is that it's a 14-and-a-half-hour drive. I literally have to leave right now after this podcast. Make one stop in Winslow, one stop in Gallup. I'm going to turn it around.
Is it
come back? Got to edit
dangerous?
Huber syndrome.
Is it dangerous?
No, it's not refined in the way you're thinking, Kyle.
So this is okay.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's a 5. The issue is that it's going to be 4. It's a high 4-figure value. So we're very close to 5 figures. So you understand why I'm sort of like pedal to the metal.
Yeah,
on this
dude,
thing,
you
like,
should get going. Yeah.
Knocks,
Yeah. You don't want him to be changing his mind.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, all right. Okay.
All right. So, pardon me, but wish me luck.
Drive
Sure.
safe, Don.
Okay, enjoy the podcast.
Yeah,
See you,
Good
Don.
luck.
Good luck. Bye, everybody.
Lucky guy.
So this is episode 100 of the Easy Allies podcast. Interesting fact, this is the same lineup from episode 1. Isn't
Looks
that nuts?
like we made
Whoa.
it.
Oh, was that intentional?
Not at all. Not at all
Lucky duck.
intentional.
Do
Yeah.
you believe in fate?
I do not. And because I do not believe in fate, we're getting rid of goals and we're introducing a new opening podcast segment, our icebreaker, our warm-em-ups. And this one's
Warm-em-ups.
called this warm-em-up is called And For That Reason. It's because I love Shark Tank is the way we're doing this. Basically, each week, someone will submit a pitch for a video game that is unique and innovative, a short pitch. And then each of our panelists will determine whether they want in or out of this thing. They're going to give a short analysis of the concept. You may ask one question about it. And then at the end, you must say, and for that reason, I'm in, or, and for that reason, I'm out. We get it?
It's gotten.
Cool.
Yeah.
Love the sharks.
And so, because this is the first week, I'm submitting it. I'm submitting the game.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. Good evening, Easy Allies. Are you familiar with trading quests like in Zelda, where you trade items with NPCs who need this strange particular thing, eventually upgrading to a valuable item? In my game, you have the power to exchange faces with anyone in the world, but only if they are willing. The end goal is to finally trade faces enough that you get Jennifer Lopez's face. The game is called No, I'm J-Lo. Are you in?
Question.
Yeah.
Do I have to persuade these people if they are at least a little bit reluctant at first to trade faces?
There is some persuasion, Ben, but generally they'll tell you what kind of face they're looking for.
Okay. All right. This sounds extremely interesting. I think the end goal is right. I think the end goal is very important in a video game, and for that reason, I am in.
Great. Daniel Bloodworth.
Oh, wow. I think something about the concept makes me kind of creeped out by, like, disembodied faces. So for that reason, I'm out.
What era of Jennifer Lopez are we talking about here?
Current day.
Current.
Good question.
Current day Jennifer Lopez.
Jennifer Lopez's face is not her best feature. For that reason, I'm out.
All right.
Episode 100.
That went
Oh, boy.
better than I could have ever wished. Okay. Let's start corrections for episode 100. Begin that music, please. Team Ninja absolutely developed a Neo. Let's do the Metroid timeline right now. Metroid Zero Mission, Metroid Prime Hunters, the DS game, Metroid Prime 2, Metroid Prime 3, then Metroid Prime Federation Force, the 3DS game, then Metroid 2/Metroid Samus Returns, then Super Metroid, then Metroid Other M, and then finally Metroid Fusion. That's that timeline. I really hope Metroid Prime 4 does not take place between Prime 3 and Metroid Prime Federation Force. We don't know.
Probably will.
But after
Probably
Federation
will.
Force, you'd accept?
No, I really want it to take place at least after Super Metroid. I would love for it to take place after Fusion.
Yeah, I would really wanted to see some go past Fusion. But if it's Prime, it probably won't.
Jones, the reason you had only seen 2 dances in Fortnite is that you're not playing enough Battle Royale. That's where all the dances are.
That's unfortunate. It's still in early access. I wonder if they'll add more by launch.
Apparently you only
Hopefully.
get 2. You only get 2 in that mode.
Only 2,
Yeah. Spyro did have a voice actor in the first 3 games. Is Tom Kenny in 2 and 3 who does SpongeBob?
Yeah.
And then in 1, it's Carlos Alazraqui, who's in Reno 911, and he's Rocco in Rocco's Modern Life.
Whoa.
That guy did the voice of Spyro. Also, I'd learned as I was Googling all this stuff, Tom Kenny is Heifer in Rocco's Modern Life. So here's these 2 guys, they're friends, right? They're playing best friends in Rocco's Modern Life, and then suddenly Tom Kenny comes and takes that job away. I'm taking Spyro away from you. I wonder how
Or
they
the other guy was like, nah.
But I mean, you know,
Spyro's
Spyro's
thing,
on
I don't
Netflix
really
now.
have the
Somebody took it
time.
from Tom Kenny, so.
Yeah. It's Justin Long in the current rendition.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's more of like I don't have the schedule for this. Do you want it? I think it's one of those. Pass it on.
I didn't put this in, but one of the comments said that everybody hated the original guy, the original
Yeah,
voice of Spyro.
it is definitely not that,
Oh,
Blood.
okay.
There's no.
Oh, okay. Jones, you're almost
Voice actor
familiar-
roles are not handed out between actors. Like they don't, yeah. They have very little say in what they're hired to do.
That bear is named Moneybags in Spyro. All right, here, this one, you know what, kind of irked me a little bit. Here's what happened last week. Ian said, we were talking about Ridge Racer, and Ian said, wasn't Ridge Racer a PlayStation exclusive? And I said, yes. And then
Nope.
And then the commenters went off. They said, no. Well, let's run through this, commenters. Let's run through your comments right here. So Ridge Racer, the first Ridge Racer game, that was exclusive to the PlayStation 1. The sequel, Ridge Racer Revolution, that was just exclusive to the PlayStation 1. Rage Racer, which is Ridge Racer 3, that was exclusive to the PlayStation 1. R4, Ridge Racer Type 4, that was exclusive to the PlayStation 1.
I like that
Ridge
one a lot.
Racer 5, that was exclusive to the PlayStation 2. Ridge Racer 6, exclusive to 360, Xbox 360. Who saw that coming? Ridge Racer 7, that was exclusive to the PlayStation 3. So, despite the fact that there's Ridge Racer 3D on the 3DS and a game called Ridge Racer 64, yes, it would be unusual for Ridge Racer 8 to be on the Switch. If you were on this panel,
You forgot about Ridge Racer Unbounded.
yes, that is not a numbered Ridge Racer game. Ridge Racer 8
Oh, I didn't realize that was
is.
part of the qualification.
Yes, Blood. I was going through the series and spin-offs were on other because Blood.
Oh, that
here's
wasn't
the
a
thing.
spin-off anymore. They just stopped putting numbers on it.
No, Blood, because Ridge Racer 8 is
They
the thing
did-
that's
yes,
happening.
they
and
did
that's what
not.
makes
They
it so
paused putting
unusual.
numbers on
yes. And so here's the thing, Blood. If it was last week, if you were on this panel and I said, hey, there's a rumor that Ridge Racer 8 is going to be on the Switch, and you said, that's not significant because there's plenty of Ridge Racer games on other consoles, I'd say, no, Blood, you're missing the point. It's Ridge Racer 8, exclusive to the Switch. Here's a comment or a correction I did like. Ridge Racer mascot Reiko Nagase was only replaced in Ridge Racer 5 and one E3 trailer, but then they went back. They're like, okay, we're back to her. Tetsuro, I didn't write down his first name, and now I'm Tetsuya Nomura. Is that right?
Tetsuya Nomura.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a Y. Oh my God. He did know he was the director of Final Fantasy VII Remake when it was announced. It was an internal trailer he had watched within the company that said, "Oh, I'm in that position on this," and so I don't want to spread that misinformation anymore. The Bubsy games are published by Accolade, not to claim. End correction music. Whew. That's a whole bunch.
That was some spicy corrections.
So did that developer change their name to Accolade, like you mentioned last week?
No. Accolade is old school.
Right. But it was like a I guess like a Chinese company bought another studio and changed their name to Accolade. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kind of like Atari.
Kind of like Atari, just like anybody can have put like. Even that though, like I kind of get Atari. Atari has value. What value does Accolade have? What value does Acclaim have today?
It's funny that they're both.
Acclaim, I would say, probably has more than Accolade, but yeah.
It's funny that you mix them up because they're both kind of the same word.
It's the same word.
That's funny.
What?
Yeah.
Also, didn't Atari get Test Drive from Accolade? So that's kind of a funny part of the conversation. Anyways.
Piling on the corrections for next week.
Piling
Very early.
on.
No,
Very
Accolade,
early.
Accolade put out the original test drives, and I'm pretty sure Atari published the later ones.
Cool. Publishers don't matter. This is all cyclical, man. This is all the same. We have pretty big news this week. This just dropped today, and I think it's actually really interesting. It's a story that wasn't too interesting to me until I read more into it, and so I'm kind of excited to talk about this. The heads of Sledgehammer Games today announced that they're leaving their studio. They're leaving Sledgehammer Games. They're still going to work at Activision, Jones.
Whoa.
Yeah. And so they're leaving the studio to work at Activision to make more games. And, you know, that's kind of like, okay, next story, please. And it's like, wait, hold on. Let's read a little more into it because I didn't realize how cool these people are. So basically, it's Glenn Schofield and Michael Condrey. They met at EA. They were working on 007 From Russia with Love. They were the executive producer and director at that time. They just like got along really well. Apparently both their dads used to work in construction, and so they like just became best buds. And so then they made Dead Space at EA. And I didn't realize it sounded like kind of like Hollywood in that because they were within EA making Dead Space, they had like clout in the industry. And then it's like they decided to go make their own studio at that point. But it was almost like you don't earn that until you have that success within the thing. It's kind of like expected upon you to go and do your own thing. And so I thought that was really cool. So yeah, then they started Sledgehammer. And the first thing they worked on, the first pitch they had was a third-person action Call of Duty game. And they pitched that to Activision. And so, you know, there's these new guys. They started the new studio. They're hiring people and everything. And so they pitched it to Activision. And a few weeks go by, several weeks go by. Activision does not respond. But then they get to talk to Bobby Kotick. And he really likes it. And the next day he says, hire these guys. Let's make that third-person Call of Duty game. And so they're making it. They're making this third-person action Call of Duty game for Activision, right? And so that they're going along with that. I guess for like 6 to 8 months, they're making that game. And then they apparently had like 15 minutes of it done. But then the Infinity Ward started going down. Zampella, Frank West, I believe are their names. They were leaving. Not Frank West. That's a video game character.
That's Dead Rising.
Yeah. Let me get his name right then. I get Zampella right every time. West is harder. I just should have said Zampella and West. Jason West. Okay, so those guys were leaving, and they took a lot of Infinity Ward with them. I guess almost half of that studio. And so Activision like, we got to make Modern Warfare 3. Well, they just did Modern Warfare 2, was just out, right? And like it's like in pre-production at this point. And so they're kind of desperate. They need to get a game out every year. And so looking forward to that year after that, they needed staff, basically. And so they went to Sledgehammer and they said, would you please help them make this game? And apparently Sledgehammer, like, they could have said no. And like they pulled their own studio. They pulled all the developers and they said, okay, we're going to have to give up on our cool third-person Call of Duty game to work on Call of Duty. Do you all want to do that? And then they said it was a unanimous decision. Everybody's like, yeah, let's do it. Let's go make Call of Duty. Obviously, Modern Warfare 3 is a huge success, the best-selling Call of Duty game of all time. Sledgehammer is now well-regarded within Activision. They make 2 more. They make Advanced Warfare, which does pretty well. And then, of course, they just made last year's World War II, which did incredibly well. Kind of bucked a trend of some sinking sales. And so I guess Activision loves them. And then they say, yeah, we're going to leave Sledgehammer. We're going to work for Activision. I want to give, before we start all the discussions, the quote about what they're actually going to be doing. So this is from Glenn Schofield. Activision has offered me the opportunity to focus my energy on something I'm very passionate about, exploring new game ideas for the company. It's something I just couldn't pass up. There we go. I love all this stuff. I was not even like, I wasn't aware of their journey. I wasn't aware of like their success, that they made Dead Space and then just started working on Call of Duty immediately after that and just hit afterward. And and yeah, I guess like it's just a truly interesting thing to me. And so, panel, I guess where I should launch this off is Activision was burned by Zampella and West. I wonder if this is them learning their lesson. This is them treating them right. They're trying to put a ring on it, basically.
Oh, okay.
And I wonder if that's that. Do you think that Activision is just trying to keep them, just trying to respect these talent and keep them internal and keep them working for Activision as opposed to Sledgehammer Games or some other studio that they want to go create?
I would have to wonder if, we've been doing Call of Duty for so long, if that they're thinking, hey, we're in a good spot right now, but let's take these guys who are steering the ship in the right direction and let's have them find the next Call of Duty, where they believe that they have the eye for it, where you look at their pedigree.
Yeah, Ben, because I want to talk about this too. I want to talk about Activision making new IP, and they just don't anymore. And so this idea of these two guys exploring like what is next, what is the next Call of Duty, I think is incredibly interesting. Blood, do you think we'll see Activision make an original game within the next 3 years?
Next 3 years?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so.
Really?
Yeah.
I can't see it happening, man. How do you see it happening? What would the new Activision game be?
I mean,
A shooter, probably.
yeah, it could be.
Yeah.
Put money on shooter.
It could be a battle royale.
No, I mean, yes, you're right. Yes.
But yeah, I mean, Destiny hasn't been that long ago, and that's.
But to make Destiny, they had to buy Bungie.
Sure.
Activision could have done that without buying Bungie.
For sure. But I think that, yeah,
I'm sorry, I don't think they bought Bungie, but they needed Bungie to do that, yeah.
But I think that's kind of part of it too, right? Like, these guys could be designing, they could be scouting, they could be doing anything, but like their whole thing is to like, let's find, like what is the next big thing for us, And I think too, it's not like, I think what's important here is it's not like they took that whole studio off of the project to do this. It's like, no, they got these guys.
Just the two guys.
These guys to do this.
Yeah.
And so they can start with whatever size team they want, whether it's, to conceptualize or to, look at developers and who's really rising up the ranks now. I mean, you could get something crazy like Activision buying Rocket League even. It's like that's in their wheelhouse. That would make them a lot of money. That's an ongoing, pretty much easy to make on franchise.
Another thing. Oh, go ahead, Ben.
Yeah, because I think immediately we jumped to a shooter, and I could see kind of from their perspective, we have Call of Duty, we can evolve it, we can do new things within it. Let's have something that isn't necessarily competing with that isn't competing with Destiny, that complements that. That would make a lot more sense to me, but I could see from Activision perspective, hey, that would be really hard to do. Let's get these guys who have really earned our trust to find this gem that is so different. And when Blood said Rocket League, that's what I would be thinking of.
Multiplayer.
Yeah, but not only multiplayer, but something new, something fresh that could really take off in the same way and in the same capacity that something like a Rocket League did.
Another part of reading the Wikipedia entries and like the articles attached to them that made me like respect Glenn Schofield so much is he basically, when he saw that the industry was moving away from many IP, from this idea like if your game sells $1 million, you're good, as it sort of just funneled into just only action games, only first-person shooters, and the other things went away. He went to go get his master's in business. Because he's like, oh, I see where this is going. And so he's like, I'm going to need to like be a studio head. I'm going to need to be able to make these decisions. And that was just like totally paid off for him. I think that's incredibly cool. Yeah, and so, Jones, I guess I would like to talk more about the future of Activision, the future of games. And do you, like, obviously they're preparing for it, right? They're prepared, like, they've had a meeting about a Battle Royale game at this point, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes. I wonder, I don't know if I'm reading too much into this with Destiny, the year that Destiny had in 2017. Not sales, not money, because I know Destiny made a lot of money. I know a lot of people are still playing it,
Sure.
but just the the bad blood that was there, just or not bad blood, but the bad blood in their community. You know, their community being continually frustrated that Bungie was not communicating what was happening within Destiny. And I wonder if Activision's looking at Destiny and being like, we're not going to make as much money on this as we thought. We're still going to make money, but this is potentially on a downward trajectory that we cannot affect as much as we would like to. So we need a new IP. We need something. I loved Advanced Warfare. I thought it was a lot of fun. I loved Modern Warfare 3. So I wonder if, having done Modern Warfare 3, Advanced Warfare was a little further in the future, and then going back to World War II, they kind of cemented Sledgehammer as like, okay, we can count on you to make a good Call of Duty game. Maybe you don't need these two smart men, at the helm to necessarily pull that off again because you've proven yourself. So we can move them on to something else. And they're very genuinely excited. I went to the review event for Advanced Warfare, and I was like, I like these guys. Like, they're a funny pair because
these two guys, the CEO and COO of Sledgehammer, were just like talking to you all.
We're at the review event the entire time.
That's
and every
fun.
time we broke for something, they came out, okay, everybody, and they were the first to talk. And it's funny, Condor's a tall guy, short blonde hair, and Schofield's just like a linebacker. He's like Schofield looks like the person you should be playing as in every Call of Duty game. So it's just great. It's just cool to see the two of them still loving what they do. And I mean, this is the news I always want. That people I'm familiar with, people that have proven to be good at their jobs, are given a new opportunity to do something completely new.
Yeah. The thing is, what they've excelled at, I mean, obviously, multiplayer is a huge component of Call of Duty, but is telling these stories, and telling these narrative games, these action games. And I don't see the industry trending that way. Obviously, Call of Duty was the best-selling game last year. Mm-hmm. It still is. And so but I guess you feel momentum of PUBG, you feel momentum of Battle Royale. But I wonder if, panel, like, there's always going to be a space for Call of Duty. This was the year it was supposed to do poorly. This was the year like the trend of sinking down was supposed to continue, and then they just said no, like we're still the best-selling game. What's it going to take for Call of Duty to stop?
Something bigger. Something bigger that fills that particular void. And I think it is a very particular void. I think that's what's very important to say, in a more satisfactory way of stuff that came before. And if you look at the evolution of first-person shooters and multiplayer first-person shooters, that always happens. And the thing...
But wouldn't you say in some ways that like Titanfall 2 kind of was that? And it didn't overtake anywhere near in sales.
I don't think... It has to come at the right time, and it has to come with the right support, and I don't think Titanfall 2 had the right support.
No,
I'm not saying that's the
true.
only reason.
It got
but
jammed out in the middle of everything.
Well, Titanfall 2 made a lot of improvements, but was still thematically very similar to the first game. Destiny 2 is very similar to the first game, and every Call of Duty is a surprise every year. We don't know until until the year actually begins and we're into the year what it's going to be at all. And then in that year we get it, and it's great. And so there's just nothing like that franchise that has that AAA pedigree, but still shows up and surprises and gives different developers a chance to do something new. They learn from each other. They collaborate in between studios, but they're still driving their own vehicles and making their own stuff happen.
I think what is so key is that flexibility. When you say, hey, we're going back to World War II, that's a big deal. When you say, hey, we're going to this particular era, we're changing this thing, that flexibility, I think, is what's really saved Call of Duty and what's kept it so relevant for so long. But like, if you compare something like a Titanfall 2 to the unveiling of the original Destiny, do you remember how the original Destiny was unveiled? There was so much kind of mystery behind it. I remember they just invited a bunch of journalists out, and it's like, we're going to tell you about this brand new experience.
And they like showed them concept art,
Right.
Yeah.
And that, I really feel like that kind of created this perfect storm where this mystery, kind of this allure of this is going to be a new thing.
The people who made Halo are making a new thing.
Right.
Yes.
Right. And it just created this electric buzz that you couldn't look away from. And I think that's what you need.
Yeah.
For Activision specifically.
One of my favorite levels in Advanced Warfare, one of my favorite levels in Call of Duty history was from Advanced Warfare, and you are flying around a kind of like an oil rig. It's in the middle of the desert, and you get in a jet and then land and then walk around the base and then get back in a jet and then land and walk around the base.
It's
and
incredible.
You can have cover, and it's great because the guns that you have on this thing are just insane. And so it's not like, oh, I really got to snipe that one little part. You can just mow people down, and so it's fun to have cover when you're actually on the base. And this is just one instance of one thing that they've done in the history of their company. But like, I would love that coming to Destiny, that coming to PUBG.
Scale, dude.
Intentional vehicles, not just like, oh, I found a Jeep, I'm gonna run some people over, but like, no, I'm actually coordinating with my team with these super high-powered, fast vehicles.
Easy to
that
control.
I can get around the map. Yeah,
they were like ghosts basically. And Jones, what's really cool about that is they don't cheat. The like flying, the landing out and getting out and like doing a whole mission and then getting back in. Because I played that co-op with Huber. One of us could be like walking around on these platforms, and the other could be providing cover in the air. You're right. That was a really cool thing.
So just the scale of the environment, you keep going in and out and in and out. And I wouldn't be surprised if they shake up, either PUBG or another multiplayer, something like Rocket League or something. It'd be weird. It'd be like PUBG and Rocket League kind of put together. Like the speed of Rocket League, you get from point A to point B quicker, but it has the competitive nature.
I hear you, Jones.
And just less story. Just don't need to focus on story. Nobody in PUBG cares about story. Nobody in Monster Hunter World really. Like that's not like the driving force.
I do think these two people
nobody in
care
Metal Gear
about
Survive,
story,
is going to care about the story.
You don't think the creators of Dead Space care about story?
I think they do. I just don't think it's necessary right now. I think that might be. I'm curious if that was maybe part of that meeting, that they're like, hey, look what PUBG did. There's no cutscenes. There's no voice acting. There's no look at all that money we could waste potentially on this new IP. Maybe we don't, and let's try something else.
Yeah.
But future tech would be I'm putting my chips on the table for future tech, whatever it is.
For sure.
I talked about kind of blowing something up and making it feel huge, you said, from the creators of Halo, but I have to wonder if they're thinking from their perspective, if there's just this certain level of distrust with that kind of bigness, where you think about Battlefront 2 or even something like Medal of Honor or Infinite Warfare, and you see companies like Epic taking an approach that was previously reserved for early access games, and kind of embracing that model and seeing the success of something like Fortnite or PUBG, and maybe the next thing that they do is this is a work in progress, and allows them to experiment with a bunch of things that are small scale, and if they don't work out, it's not that big of a deal to cancel them, but if it does work out, they can heavily invest and go in, because that type of, hey, this is a work in progress is more accepted now than it's ever been.
That's a really interesting concept to me, Ben. It makes me think of basically when movies try out characters in comic books first, because like that's a much less expensive path. Because basically when you talk about those indie games, you talk about like Undertale being a huge success. Activision didn't publish Undertale, and I almost think if Activision's name came up front, it would be less successful.
Yeah.
I think they'd really have to spin it in this way of, we don't want to make money from this particular game. When you buy this weird little like experimental game from us, go ahead, take it. We just want to play around. We want to see what works. Because I think they'd have to really come off as good guys with that.
Oof, that would be bold for Activision.
Yeah, right? But it would work, I think. Hey, this is a free game from Activision. I think that would work.
It was interesting, Ben, talking to Epic at E3 last year about Fortnite, and obviously the Battle Royale is huge, but at the time it wasn't a thing. It was just this Save the World mode that I'm infatuated with. And they were like, this is going to be free to play for this year. We'd like to make it, this is going to be early access, $40 to jump in, and then we're going to make it free to play in early 2018. And then at PAX, I bumped into them, I was like, hey, free to play, is that still happening in January? And they're like, oh, I don't know. Like, we're clearly Battle Royale right now is the big thing, and so that afforded us the ability to work on this single player mode and release it whenever. Release it when it's finished, when it's ready. You can still play it. You have to pay to play it, but it'll eventually be free. And when that is, people can jump in and it'll be as good as we want it to. But clearly we need to divert resources. They're flexible. They can. Yeah. It's a great place to be. And so I could see that. I could definitely see that being. I could see other people in this industry wanting to be in that position.
Cool. You know what? We're going to transition to a different news story that actually kind of relates to this. I'm pretty excited to talk about this one too. Burnout Paradise Remastered was announced today. March 16th.
Wasn't it announced before, or was it just a release date announcement?
It was rumored before. It was leaked before.
Oh, okay.
It was leaked. It was just like, this is happening. March 16th is the date. $40 a price. Basically the going price of a remaster these days. I kind of like that. native 4K on Xbox One X, some other kind of 4K on PS4 Pro, 1080 on Xbox One and PS4, 60 frames per second on everything. Normally, when a remaster is announced, it doesn't make it to the podcast. It's not a big deal. The big deal behind this is EA's first remaster.
Oh.
Isn't that nuts?
That is nuts.
Wait, this gen?
This gen.
Okay, this gen.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.
So here's what happened. We got some quotes. Peter Moore in 2016. Oh, I don't have quotes. I just have general ideas. He said he didn't want to do it. No, that was 2015. He said that. He said he didn't want to do it. Looks like you're out of ideas. EA had taken a stance against
Doing remasters.
Doing remasters.
Yeah, they're like, we don't want to do that. We're not about that. It looks like it's lazy.
That's cute.
Because
Yeah.
EA and lazy are not two words together in the same sentence ever.
In August of 2016, Patrick Soderlund, he told Game Informer, he's the EVP of EA. He said, we have interest. We're looking into it. So over a year ago, August of 2016, EA finally said, yeah, we're thinking about it. We're looking into it. We will do remasters. We don't see the results until today. With Burnout Paradise is the one they choose as their first remaster.
I think that there's probably a lot of groundwork laid with that because they did the PC version, the Ultimate Box, quite a while after the console
360
versions.
launch?
Yeah, the PS3 and 360. So I think probably, yeah, when they put that together, that probably made it easier to transition and make that game for future consoles.
But why this?
and
Why
scale it
now?
up.
Why do you think they chose Burnout Paradise as their first remaster?
Burnout's got to be on the top of the list of fans screaming for franchises to come back from EA.
Yeah.
I would think.
Well,
Yeah, it actually is kind of interesting because, I remember when Need for Speed Hot Pursuit launched. I went to the launch party in Hollywood, and that was the first one that Criterion had worked on, the first Need for Speed.
Oh, cool. Right.
One of the EA guys there was like, Burnout could never do the numbers of Need for Speed. And so it is really interesting to see them actually pull Burnout back up and put it out.
And the way, Ben, that I kind of feel about it, and I mean, they openly admit to this a lot. Remasters are almost a gauge of interest, a little barometer.
Sure.
Clearly, this one, they are working hard on it. If they can promise 60 frames per second on an Xbox One, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
1080 and 60 frames per second. And so I think it's clear they are working on it. Do you think it is that kind of barometer? They want to test to see where the love is in terms of Burnout right now.
Yeah, I think so, because if you look at the reception to the latest Need for Speed and kind of the general reception to the last several Need for Speeds, it's not working out. And I think if you look at EA's catalog, I mean, they've tried with a lot of things to bring them back, and I don't think there's too many things they could bring back that haven't been kind of tainted. Burnout is that thing. Yeah. Burnout is an EA property that is
It
not
went out on
tainted
top.
in any way. Right.
That's what I think of it when it's like Mass Effect, Dead Space,
Even SSX.
SSX,
Yeah. Sim City.
Right.
So, yeah, and I've really enjoyed Burnout in the past, and so I'm excited. I just hope that, hey, let's say this comes out, interest is gauged, and it's good. I hope we don't ruin this thing. This thing is precious.
So, you don't know the cynical take on this?
Oh, wow.
Oh.
I didn't think it would come from you, but go ahead.
So Burnout Paradise was pretty bold in that it came out and it said, hey, we're going to give you a year of free DLC. Mm-hmm. You just kept getting updates. You got new areas. You got all this stuff. You didn't have to pay any money for it.
Is this the game that added the Back to the Future car?
Yeah, that's in there.
Okay.
And
you know the name of the Back to the Future car?
I know DeLorean.
Okay.
But
you didn't think
but
the
it's not actually a
listeners would
DeLorean
know if you
because
said
they don't
DeLorean, they'd be like a Whatlian?
Jones.
It's not actually a DeLorean though. They just make it look like a DeLorean.
But we're talking about
modified it.
digging
Okay.
through the cubby, Jones.
Right.
Back to the Future car came out first.
Okay.
And then
sure.
when you said you don't know what I had a little extra time to dig in a little
Yep,
deeper.
yep,
I
got
found
it.
DeLorean and I took it out. I would have said DeLorean first if I thought of it first.
Apologies. Continue, Blake.
But anyway, so the cynical side is somebody to EA saying we never made the money on this game that it costs to put all this stuff out. Can we put that out and sell it again?
So pessimistic intentions, you think? Like you don't think it's as righteous as bringing Burnout to the people? They're just burnt that they didn't. They
Make
got
that
burned
money.
out on how much money they made.
I mean, from a suit perspective, I guess from my own perspective and from outside perspective, I've seen nothing but positive sentiment for Burnout. If you were going to bring it back, specifically with Burnout Paradise as well, why not this?
Yeah. I do wonder, like, Criterion just like makes Star Wars stuff now. They're like a supplementary studio.
Yeah, there's like basically a skeleton crew that's left over there, and I think they've staffed up a little bit to work on Star Wars. But
Do you think they'd be capable of making a new Burnout game if this is a success?
it would be different. I mean, a lot of those Burnout creators have left the studio, and they have their own studio, and
Oh yeah.
there's a couple of guys left, but there's a chunk of the leaders that have their own studio. There's a big chunk of staff that went to Ghost Games when they founded that. And so, like I said, there's like a skeleton crew that was sort of left over and then started working on the Star Wars stuff after, I guess, that crazy stunt game went by
Yeah.
the wayside.
That action sports game looked
Yeah.
so cool.
What was there a title for that?
No,
I don't think there
Oh
was.
man,
so cool, so gone.
show it off at E3. Man, why even tease us like that? So I was thinking about EA, kind of like you were, like
Yeah.
how many beloved franchises do they actually have? And I kind of want to go through these. Like,
Okay.
do you?
Oh, yeah.
I don't think this is the last EA remaster, is why I say that. And so I kind of want to go through the other franchises that are candidates. So Jones, you said no Mass Effect? You don't think Mass Effect Trilogy would be a cool remaster?
Oh no, I think that would be huge. Yeah,
I think it's incredibly likely even.
Yeah, maybe a year or two.
Is it too
From
soon?
now.
Yeah,
It's way
yeah,
too soon.
that's
Way
that's
too
exactly
soon.
what I was gonna say. Yep.
Okay.
A little
Yeah.
too soon.
Sure.
Especially because they're going to want to show that trailer at their press conference, and like that's for live audience. That's a bad thing to bring up.
Okay. All right. You said no to Dead Space, but what about Dead Space 1? Wouldn't that be a cool remaster?
Yeah.
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 But Jones says no. I say no.
Well, I just think Dead Space 1, then people ask for Dead Space 2, and then,
then
they
they-
maybe
yeah.
do Dead Space 2, and then what happens?
Yeah. I get what you mean.
I just
It
think it's
is
the-
weird to think that they would do that without doing like the trilogy. Like both of those games feels like they would sell the trilogy again in some way, you know?
It's a good point. So, we're ready to spend 40 on Burnout Paradise, but it's this complete package. There's nothing after it. But I think there is an expectation if you're doing Dead Space that you have to do if Mass Effect, you got to do the trilogy.
Yeah.
That is actually really strange.
Maybe a weird thought, but is this something that they could work into their EA Access program? Maybe sweeten the
Oh,
pot a
yeah.
little bit?
Oh yeah. I mean,
Where-
you get Burnout 10 days early.
Yeah, but it's like, hey, you get enhanced versions of these games, and you can play them early as part of it. I don't know. Maybe that would be an avenue they could go down. We're going through our whole catalog and giving you as much as possible.
Star Wars: The Old Republic.
The Old Republic.
Wait, what, the MMO?
No, I guess I don't mean the MMO.
Knights of the Old Republic.
Knights of the
yeah,
Old
yeah,
Republic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's available on
That's a-
PC.
It's
It's
a
on-
large undertaking. Out of
isn't
every
it-
game you brought up so far, that's clearly the beast.
So yeah, we're going back another generation afterward.
Yeah.
We're
Didn't
sick
they-
that we're gonna do that for a few.
and that's not going to look probably that great.
No, we're remastering it, Jones. Think of
Even
Crash
s-
Bandicoot last
even
year.
s-
Oh, like that.
Yeah,
they put it
dude,
on
that
tablet?
like
That is tough for those
think they
kind of
did.
games.
Yeah, I think there's a
comparing a
mobile
Crash
version of it.
Bandicoot remake to a Knights of the Old Republic. That's one of the biggest. No, that's a lie. Sorry. It is a big RPG.
It's a huge RPG.
Yeah.
So it's not like
It's a meaty
right?
project. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. How about Command and Conquer? They don't want to make a new Command and Conquer game because they remaster.
Which
it?
one do you make? Does one stand out really as like the one to remake?
Which one is Tiberian Sun?
I am not
I
I'm not
don't
very
know that
familiar
well.
with Command and
Crickets.
Conquer.
Okay.
so-
All right. So I think it's honestly not likely. We can move on. I do not
I
think we're going to
definitely
see a
had one
Command
in
and Conquer
mind
remaster.
that I can't think of now.
I think EA is not interested in PC business. Obviously, they run it, they do it,
Yeah.
but they're not focused on it. It's not a primary driver for them.
I really feel like they've abandoned Command and Conquer.
Oh, they have.
Yeah.
Like,
Again, they showed us a Command and Conquer game. They're like, you know what? We don't want to do that.
yeah.
Okay. Dragon Age?
No.
There's only 2.
No, there's
Well, Inquisition's
Yeah.
already on current
Yeah.
consoles,
Right,
so
right.
yeah. Again, but RPGs, you're right. I guess that makes it like it's a hairier proposition to do a remaster of a huge RPG. Final Fantasy 12 took so long.
Anything BioWare is very doubtful, I think.
Being able to play, I don't know. I was gonna say being able to play Origins on modern consoles might be nice, but then I'm like, no, I would just rather play it on PC.
When we entered this gen, one of my number one remasters that I wanted was Mass Effect because I never got into it, and so I was like, that would be perfect. Like that, I would sign up. That would slide up to the very very near the top of my games to play.
I gotta admit, we're getting hairier as we go on.
Boom blocks.
No, well, no. Now's the time for boom blocks, but I don't think. No.
Now's the time for Boom Blocks?
Yes.
Okay.
You got switches out there.
Okay. I see where you're coming from.
Yeah.
All right.
You got like motion controls within the PS4 controllers. Now's the time. Any of the Medal of Honor games?
Oh yeah.
Any of them?
They did. Well, the thing is, they did kind of a
Reboot.
not so great remake of Medal of Honor Frontline, which is like one of the most fondly remembered ones. I also think the original couple would be really cool to bring back. But yeah, that's the thing is like they got to do it right because there was weird texture things in that.
That genre's come so far.
Do you know what's more exciting than collections? Big collections. And with Medal of Honor, you could create a big collection. If you were to say, hey, we're bringing Medal of Honor back, here's all of them or a lot of them.
I don't think you want to bring back all of them, but like, yeah, let's pick the best of them.
Sure. I think you could make that enticing.
Yeah, and obviously, I've been mixing them up throughout this entire conversation. Those would be remasters and not remakes.
Right.
I don't think you can do a collection of remakes, but yeah.
No. Yeah.
Though Crash Bandicoot did. How crazy is that? 3 games. Anyway, Army of Two. Is there any love for Army of Two still?
No.
Those games sold so much.
No.
That is
You'd have to sell that for $5.
I think, Jones, I agree,
but
man.
I would buy it for $5.
Yes.
That is a game that I see.
Stream. I'd call up Uber. We'd have a good time.
I see positive sentiment about. I played through all of 40th Day with a buddy and had a miserable time. I really don't like.
I played the first one co-op and it was pretty jolly.
Yeah, I mean the second one's definitely the best one.
Not a
It's
headline maker.
Not a game I would want to play again.
And what was the one after 40th Day? Was it Devil's Cartel?
Yeah, that was the bad one.
That game is bad.
Yeah, it's so weird going down like EA's catalog and looking for beloved titles.
Yeah.
Dante's Inferno.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I liked it though. I had a lot of fun.
Yeah, but it's not beloved.
Did they have Mercenaries? Was that somebody else?
No.
Ooh, is that EA?
That is not EA.
I don't think Dante's Inferno is great, but if you were to put that out and charge a reasonable price for it, I might bite.
I kind of think it's a $5. I don't think Dante's Inferno is $40.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. I agree with you.
I'm a lot of people of game purchasing age nowadays would be like, what? They have no idea what game you're talking about.
Right.
They'd be like, look at this new game. This DMC clone.
So we talked.
God of War clone.
Jones, you brought up something that I liked a lot. Yeah, I'd say more God of War.
Okay.
You brought up something that I think is pretty astute when you said that genre has evolved so far when talking about first-person shooters. And so if you just remaster a first-person shooter, it just won't hold up to what is out today.
Because Crash Bandicoot, you can kind of make fun of the genre. You can kind of look back and be like, wow, look how far, its inclusion in Uncharted. It's been so long since we played these weird old games.
And even with that, it's not like there's an alternative that's exactly like it, but way better out there right now.
Yeah.
And that's what the best, like Shadow of the Colossus. There's nothing exactly like Shadow of the Colossus that's better out there right now, and we kind of rolled our eyes at this franchise, but I can't take that. SSX.
Oh, Stu, don't even say it. Don't even say it.
I was not rolling my eyes at SSX.
Dude, no.
No.
You hurt me.
I wasn't rolling my eyes at SSX.
I'm gonna start crying right now, okay? Yes.
No.
When you was talking collections,
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Because I feel that way. I feel like there's nothing like SSX right now that's better than
Absolutely.
SSX.
If they had 1 Tricky and 3 on a disc and remastered.
Come on.
No rolling of the eyes.
Okay.
The only thing is that the most recent attempt at bringing SSS back was not universally embraced.
Right.
That is not a rolling of the eyes. That is just
right. If they remaster that one, they'll be missing the point.
No.
entirely.
You don't do that. No.
Okay.
You HD the first 3.
Yeah.
Baby.
What I want though,
Baby.
so playing through Banjo-Kazooie, got me just naturally going back to the Rare Replay collection.
Okay.
And thinking about how amazing that collection is.
Yes.
Not
Unprecedented.
only all of the extras that you get, which are great, but the way that they do stamps to incentivize you to unlock even more things, the challenges that they have for specific games, all of that stuff is fantastic, but the presentation that they put into it, the fun of it, the liveliness of it, like it's not just these generic menus, like there's so much personality. Like, please, EA, if you want to like win back some good faith and you start going down this remaster collection path, show that you care as much as that Rare Replay collection. Like that should be the standard that we have for collections.
I hope SSX is right under Burnout. And that they were like, we're not going to put money into a sequel, but a remaster.
Yeah. I mean, it's much harder. Again, we're talking about a generation earlier,
Oh, yeah,
you know.
please. Oh,
But yeah, it would be very nice.
it'd be incredible. I love those games so much. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's apparent. I've made my point, but I cannot say enough.
I'll tell you one we're not getting.
Tell me one we're not getting.
Legacy of the Ancients.
Oh, yeah.
Y'all hear that? Sounds Like Kids podcast halftime.
The following are the official sponsors of Easy Allies for the month of February. Brent Klaus. Brent Klaus is a 2D animator and illustrator specializing in motion graphics and art design. He produces animated content for brands using bold colors, fun character animation, and he'll sneak in a video game reference wherever he can. You can find him and his work on Twitter at Brent Klaus. Hogue Law, business law firm. Whether you're starting a business at level 1, stuck fighting the dreaded fundraising boss, or finally cashing out with a well-earned high score, you need a good business lawyer at your side. Rick Hogue started Hogue Law to bring more than a decade of experience to companies like yours and is proud to support the Allies. Check him out at hoeglaw.com. Scorn, an atmospheric horror adventure currently in development at Ebb Software, set in a nightmarish universe of odd forms and somber tapestry. Go to scorn-game.com for more information. Mango. iKeyless. Since 2002, iKeyless has specialized in replacement automotive keys and remotes. They can save you up to 75% off dealership prices. Visit their updated website at iKeyless.com and use promo code EZA at checkout for free shipping and an additional 17% off of your order. L. Thanis. JoJo Dent Co., your friendly automotive dent repair expert. If you are currently an EZA patron and are in the Denver metropolitan area, tweet at FastMower if you would like to have your minor door dings repaired free of charge. Sweet Justice, a sound design company based in England that's worked on Battlefield, Mirror's Edge, Injustice, Call of Duty, Cuphead, and a load of indies. Check out their website at www.sweetjustice.audio. All of these links are available in the description. Thank you to our sponsors.
Thank you, sponsors.
Never fails, we always mention at least one game that Sweet Justice has worked on. Or at least one franchise, in this case Call of Duty.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but speaking of that, that brings us back to another one that would be perfect. Battlefield 1942.
Oh, baby.
Oh, wow.
Remember, like, all those servers got taken down with the whole
Yes.
GameSpy thing?
Yeah, Blood, that's actually really good.
Yep.
Yeah.
Battlefield 1943 was when they did that, the way that they did it was so awesome. And like another like small scale downloadable Battlefield like that, I think would be really cool. That kind of goes back to that style.
What's funny, though, is I think it flies in the face of the idea of them sticking the thermometer in our mouths and seeing how hot we are in Battlefield, because they're still selling Battlefields.
Right.
And they sell like fine. You know what I mean? I don't see the incentive for them to do it in terms of, what's up, Jones?
I just love literally the EA thermometer, like me opening my mouth, you know,
Yeah.
waiting
So
a little
many
bit.
people-
EA comes back, takes it out, shakes a little bit, looks at it. And I'm
So many
like, what
people
is
are
it? I
still
don't know.
playing that,
How much do I like Dead Space? I don't know.
What's wrong, Blood?
So many people are still playing 1942, though, and you know, like that. Even though that stuff got taken down, like people are finding ways. So if there was an official way, like that community would just jump on it unless it was trash.
Yeah. I do kind of feel like EA is optimizing the money they're making off Battlefield right now.
Yeah.
You know?
It's not that perfect intersection of not enough people care for a sequel, but could be. It wouldn't hurt our pockets as much just to do a remaster.
Maybe, Blood, if this year's game doesn't do well. maybe they'll be like, okay, maybe we try 1942, see if there's still that interest there, maybe something like that. We have a game announcement. Normally I lead with a game announcement. But
what's this weirdness?
It's your favorite way to start a podcast.
Yeah, this one I'm feeling weird about. So it's buried behind podcast halftime. It's called The Missing. And so The Missing is a game announcement from Swery. Hidetaka Suehiros is his full name. It's a collaboration between his studio White Owls and Arc System Works, best known for incredible 2D fighting games. We didn't see any part of this game. We saw nothing of this game. We got basically a rough concept of what this game's theme is.
He said it's going to be sick.
Yes.
Those words specifically?
Yeah.
And I'm kind of like, what is the meaning of this? Why would you announce your game like this?
Yeah, but I'm pretty excited.
So Ben, I'll pose all these questions to you because I think it's one of three things.
Yeah.
I tried to narrow it down. I tried to think rationally. What is this? So one is actually build enthusiasm, the way a reveal trailer does for any other video game. Maybe they're just looking to build enthusiasm.
Yeah.
The second one is maybe recruit. A lot of studios will do a trailer early to maybe bring people in, so people see the enthusiasm. They're like, oh, I should apply there. And then the third one is the most cynical. I'm putting on my Bloodworth hat. To try to change the perception of the studio, of White Owls, of Swery after the failed Kickstarter of The Good Life.
Sure.
Which is apparently still in development. They're still working on that, plan to do a Kickstarter later. The other studio they're working on with that is Groundling Inc., who did Crimson Dragon on Xbox One. So yeah, that Kickstarter failed. They're looking a little bad, and I kind of wonder if this is like, hey, look, we're doing fine. Ben, which of these three things? Which of these is it?
Putting on the hat, it's hard to say. It's always a little bit of a mystery why different size studios announce things at certain points because it's all over the map.
Yeah.
But I think you have the right frame of mind, and you're saying, you have this new studio that's trying to take off the failed Kickstarter. This, especially where you think like the capital is rising with Arc System Works after Dragon Ball Fighters.
Yes.
Right. That this is a really good thing for them. This is a good look. This generates excitement. How is that bad? I think that is probably a fairly accurate train of thought.
Cool. Yeah, we'll see more of the game later. We'll talk about it when we get a trailer. But yeah, not too much to say at this moment.
But you said general concept. I mean, what's the general concept?
That people are missing. If you ever feel like you're missing every day, this game is for you.
Well, they talked in the article, in the reveal, they said that missing somebody has different meanings, right? So you could be missing somebody that you love, somebody that you've lost, but you could also just be like missing in life. If you feel lost in life, this might be a game that is right for you. And they really hyped up the ambition of this scale of what we're doing is huge, but we're confident that we're going to be able to pull it off. And so when you take that like ambition that they're talking about, as well as the multiple meanings for this word, I think what you're going to do is something that the story of it, you're either going to have a lot of choice or the story is going to have a lot of messages coming from it. And so I think that's exciting. Honestly, for me, with Swery, it's hard for me not to think that like he's not in like a near position, in a Yoko Taro position.
Is he best known for Deadly Premonition?
He's best known for Deadly Premonition.
Cool.
And to me, Deadly Premonition is a beautiful game where the heart is just like bursting outside of it. Like you have this person who is so great and just wasn't able to have the support to really bring his vision into life that wasn't completely janky. And seeing what happened with Nier and Platinum, it gives me so much hope that Arc System Works could take this crazy, crazy man and his crazy, beautiful ideas and make something awesome.
Make it look nice.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. And you think about like the arc Nier Automata had, right? Where like when that game was first announced versus like the buzz it eventually built, at release and post-release, I'm hoping that a similar sort of arc can happen here, where maybe it just seems like kind of this weird thing that we're not sure of because we're not getting much, but that this is something that will be very exciting relatively quickly.
Ben, that's a wonderful analogy because that game was announced as an announcement as well.
Right.
It was not announced. I think we saw one screenshot of one of the characters, right? Did we see 2B?
I think so.
I think you saw her like concept art.
I don't remember.
And they said, "Yeah, we're working on this. You'll see more later." And yeah, it was kind of the same thing. And so yeah, I guess it's not unorthodox, and I don't think it's bad. I don't think it's necessarily bad to announce a game that way. But yeah, not much to talk about on a podcast.
Sure.
Possible
Sure, that's
social
fair.
media component?
Don't.
I'm not suggesting it. I'm
You
just
are.
saying,
You just
missing. You're
suggested
trying
it.
to connect with people, find people.
Because Jones, that's maybe we can't talk about it on a podcast.
I mean, one step would be integrated into actual social media. Share this,
Yeah.
connect with that person, or possibly a fake, communicating with people, Persona 5, something like that. Texting and
I'm
Facebooking.
I'm scared of any game that says, "Hey, are you lost? We have the answers." That's what religions say. You know what I mean?
Sure,
that's
sure,
that's the
sure.
scariest thing. And so I hope the game isn't "we have the answers." I hope the game is like, "Let's explore this. Let's see what this feeling's like. Let's look at how that kind of life is like."
I wonder if there will be hesitation, because Platinum Games, you associate action games. You associate a certain style of action games. That's what Nier Automata was. Whereas with Arc System Works, you associate fighting games.
Yeah.
And if this is not that, I wonder if there's going to be more hesitation, or it's going to be harder to generate buzz if it's outside.
Yeah,
of that comfort
I think
zone.
that's the thing that I was, really trying to think of it, like what Arc System Works brings to the table that they want to do. And I was trying to think of like, what has Arc done that's not been a fighting game?
So I looked it up.
Yeah.
There are several titles that aren't fighting games. A lot of them are Japanese titles that I have no frame of reference for.
Okay.
But yeah, they do non-fighting games, but they're good games. They're fighting games, is what I mean to say. Like
Sure.
the ones that they're very good at, the ones that
Sure.
look the best and they excel at are all fighting games.
Yeah. So
Yeah, but at the same time, like they've nailed like art in terms of making that anime look with 3D character models. So I wonder, like, even if it turned out to be essentially like a visual novel, like it would be a really good looking visual novel.
Yeah.
That doesn't cost what it would take to like draw all of these different animations and stuff.
Sure. Cool. Actually, you know what? I'm glad we brought this up on the podcast.
Bonus question.
Yes.
If I wanted to play Deadly Premonition today, what's the best way to do it?
360? Oh,
360?
PC?
Oh, okay.
Cool.
It's on Steam?
yeah, it's on Steam.
Go get it.
I played it on 360. I think I messed around with the PS3 version a little bit and don't remember how that experience was, but I would probably guess PC.
Cool. Jones, are you into that?
I've always been. It's open world-ish, isn't it? It's like a town.
Yeah, you're not there for that. You're not
No.
there for
I
that.
just James Kohler back in the
Right.
GT
Oh,
days
yeah.
was a
Yeah.
huge fan of Deadly Premonition, and he would tell me stories. I'm like, what? Like you did what in the game?
There are some scenes like
It sounded like he had a little bit of freedom to kind of pick
Art-
what he wanted to do and what he wanted to focus on, and so
it is very
I've always been curious about that
deliberately, extremely deliberately evocative. Are you a Twin Peaks fan?
oh yeah,
Okay, you're a substantial Twin Peaks fan.
substantial.
You
Okay.
will be able to appreciate what this game
Cool.
is tapping into.
I think I need to do. Would Halloween be a good time? Would October be a good time to jump in?
Yes, totally.
Excellent.
The,
Yeah.
the one thing that I do want to say before you jump into Deadly Premonition, starts real slow. Like think about games that you've played that have started slower than that. Like, you really got to give it some room. Which
Cool.
Yeah.
mark against it.
But yeah, just plug a controller into the PC and you're good.
Cool. It is now time for Love and Respect.
Love and respect.
Rufus, 100 episodes.
Hey,
Looked a little rough for some, but I don't think he ever missed an episode.
Nice.
Yeah, pretty cool.
I missed a couple. Rufus working harder than I am.
Yeah. I thought about it, Jones. Like, I haven't missed any episodes, but just when I'm gone, it's just like, you don't get to make one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like, I don't let you make one without me, so it's not really anything to brag about. Our first comes from, we were just talking about, this might be an interesting discussion. Okay, this comes from Jerry Young. Hello, allies. Would love to get the panel's, especially Ben's, thoughts on some of the statistics that have been coming out about the player base for Dragon Ball FighterZ. Since its launch, according to IGN, the amount of players on PC for Dragon Ball FighterZ has dropped 80%, which is faster than the drop of Tekken 7. As a fighting game player, I remember all the hype around this game when it was coming out, saying it would bring new players into the community. However, it appears that new players have dropped the game after being scared off for whatever reason, leaving the game to competitive fighting game community. Would love to get the panel's thoughts on the drop-off in the player base for DBZ. What does it take for a fighting game to break away from the competitive world and become a game that casual players are willing to pick up?
I feel a lot of things about this.
Cool, yeah.
I think it's easy to get scared by that and be like, oh man, look at that drop. But I think it's a lot of things. I think bringing a lot of people in who are excited about Dragon Ball but maybe aren't so sure about fighters, you're going to get a lot of people that find out that they're intimidated or they don't like losing online or don't want to commit to learning and all this stuff, and that's totally fine. I don't think it is necessarily the sharp drop off that's the problem, but like how many were in there in the first place. And with something like Tekken, I think the reason why you don't see as much of a drop is because with Tekken, you kind of know what you're getting into.
Oh, yeah.
Tekken is associated with a certain thing where, like, your love of Dragon Ball may be detached from your interest in fighting games, but your love of Dragon Ball is enough to pull you in. But maybe, you played through the story, or you didn't like the story, or you tried it out online, you didn't like. Dragon Ball FighterZ is absolutely, I think, a game for a lot of people that they're going to abandon, and that's fine. I think the point is that Dragon Ball FighterZ, despite the huge drop-off, still brought a lot of new people in.
Yes.
Doing streams of Dragon Ball FighterZ, there were a lot of people who were commenting and they're like, I don't play fighters, I love this game. This game is going to be my introduction into fighters. Like, so yes, you have a huge drop-off that doesn't take away from the accomplishment of the people that it did bring in.
Yeah, and I think Dragon Ball FighterZ does a lot of interesting things in creating a simplicity, trying to make it easier for new people. The way that most of the special inputs are just a quarter circle and a button.
Yeah.
The way that the super is just a quarter circle and a button. The auto combos, just that you can mash and do very visually interesting things.
Right.
I think they try to make it like accessible in an interesting way. It does hurt to see 80% drop off, but you're right. I mean, the audience is still great on it.
I think the area where Dragon Ball FighterZ fails is there are a lot of people who don't have any interest in playing online, and I think despite having a longer than normal story mode, compared to a lot of other games, the offline stuff in Dragon Ball FighterZ is not going to keep you coming back.
As opposed to like Injustice 2.
Right.
Yes.
Right. There are a lot of hooks that have worked in Injustice 2 for bringing people back, giving them a reason to check in. And I don't think the capsules and unlocking the lobby avatars are enough.
That's what's so funny about their great character models that are totally well animated is that you can't just like throw a hat on it.
Right.
It just like won't work. You can't just do new skins and they'll all work perfectly.
Right.
And so they do have this weird thing where like colors are a really rare special item to find.
Right. And I guess maybe saying it out loud on a podcast, it sounds a little bit nasty, but I think it works, like having daily challenges for Dragon Ball FighterZ or a mode that mutates a little bit. I think that would have gone a long way in keeping some of that 80% that have just no interest in fighting online at all.
Well, and you even were saying that like some of the story stuff doesn't, like, it kind of gets to wear on you.
The story stuff is too long.
Wore on me at minute 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing for me, the big takeaway with the story mode is there are really good interactions between characters. Depending on who you put on your team, the banter that they'll have with each other is really strong. But kind of everything else, like the overall story, isn't that well developed and kind of bland. The skill stuff, you don't really need to mix it up all that much because the game isn't super pushing you. I think the idea of building up characters and building up teams is interesting, but they don't go far enough with it. However, for a sequel or something, maybe that's something they could look at more heavily.
Jones, let me know if this is crazy. Okay? We're talking about fighting games. We're talking about stories within fighting games. I feel like within the story for Tekken 7, within the story for Injustice, you feel like these are the things that are happening to these characters. In Dragon Ball FighterZ, this isn't happening. This is all nonsense.
Yeah.
Do you think that actually means anything to people who are not me? Is that just my own weird observation, that my own weird feeling of just like, this isn't happening? But in Injustice 2, it's like, oh, this is all happening to these people.
Well, there's a lot of split audiences to consider. People coming in expecting to have a tie-in, a direct tie-in between. I mean, is this something people complain about with previous Dragon Balls? That, like, they didn't tell the story correctly, or I wish they would spend more time on the story.
Well, a lot of other Dragon Ball games are recounting just
Yeah.
the story of the series.
Strictly, like, as it was, and then
Yeah.
maybe sometimes interesting little spins on it, yeah.
Although, notably, Xenoverse didn't do that and told its own. Well, kind of. It was a time-traveling story that was original, but, like, had twists on events that you were familiar with.
Right.
So.
I think the play, I mean, it's more work, maybe more work than they can do or we're willing to do. But I think the interesting play for me, as an outside observer, is to come up with something new, is to take it off in a weird direction or like, pick a part in the narrative and just kind of, like, go, west instead of north, and like, oh, whoa, that didn't happen in there. But okay, well, just kind of like a what if scenario.
Yeah, Jones, you weren't here for the stream. The story mode of Dragon Ball FighterZ involves you, the player, inhabiting the body of Goku.
Oh, my.
And so people will look into the camera and talk to you, like, hey, what are you doing in Goku's body? And then Goku will talk to you from within his own body. He'll look at you and say, like,
Wow.
hey, bud, let's do it.
I don't think you saw this, but there are 3 arcs for the Dragon Ball story, and you do first your soul is inside Goku
My soul, as the player.
as the player,
Yeah.
but then in the enemy arc, in the bad guy arc, they kind of go through the exact same motions with Frieza, where it's like, oh, whoa, what is happening? Let's talk about you, the player, being the soul, and you're just sitting there, and it's like, no, we've done this.
It's so crazy. Like, I've seen characters look at the screen and say, like, hey, now you stink. I've seen that before. But I've never, like, it's never been me involved in the story. I've never been able to say, like, I'm Goku, Bugs Bunny. Like, it's so weird to me. You know what? I can't hate that
That sounds
story
like an easy
more.
update episode where, like, one of our viewers goes into Kyle and we're all, like, looking into the camera like, whoa, what's it like being inside of Kyle?
You know what's interesting? In hearing Jones talk about it, somebody who doesn't normally play fighting games, and what I think is something that fighting game stories don't do very well very often is, like, I'm not head over heels about the Injustice 2 story. I think it's cool. There were some things I didn't like, but the Injustice 2 story presents itself seriously.
Yes.
And it builds up a threat, and it makes that threat very obvious and very real. A lot of times in the Dragon Ball FighterZ story, they're like, oh man, this sucks, everybody's gone, this is a huge threat, but they don't do a good job of conveying it the way that the Injustice 2 story does, where it's like, hey, we're going to use these different characters to look at this threat from different angles, we're all going to be doing things that we're building up to this moment to take down this thing. And like the Tekken 7 story, I really like it, but it's pretty silly. And so,
super silly. Well, man, I'm still feeling emotions at the end. I gotta be
yeah,
honest.
absolutely. I'm with you, but there's a lot of silliness to it.
Yes.
Same with the Street Fighter V story, and the Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite story.
Yeah.
And so I wonder if there's a lot of value there that matters to people with something like Injustice, where it's like, hey, we're gonna take this pretty seriously, and we're going to have these characters act like they normally would as you know them in this original scenario.
I think it does. I think it means a lot. I think it means a lot that Injustice is as graphically impressive as it is. I think if you're looking strictly, we're talking about like how to make a fighting game appeal to a casual audience. It just helps that it's a gorgeous game. And then I think like the metagame collecting, the collecting parts that you just attach to your character is a huge element of why that's a success. And so, I do think those 3 things are missing from FighterZ. FighterZ is a great fighting game. I think it actually did hit, as Ben's open with, like it did well with casuals. It did well with the casual audience. The huge drop off is incredible, and I think I would attribute it to those things, basically.
I have something that fighting games might benefit from.
Huh.
And it's nice to have Bloodworth here because you are a Splatoon 2 fan. But I did not play. I have Splatoon 2, but I played a little bit of the campaign, a little bit of multiplayer, but I've not invested a lot of time in that. But still, just being around social media, I was aware of like peanut butter versus jelly or whatever, like those like interesting, like just made up competitions that were totally made up. Like that had no meaning at all. It was just like ketchup or mustard. I'm probably getting all of these wrong, but like
Ketchup, mustard, that was one.
So was that one?
Yeah.
So it's fun. It fit the
I
game
think it's
because they're
actually
color
ketchup
based.
or mayo.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
it
was.
was
Nice.
So like they can add these things. and they can kind of invigorate people. It's something where you're like, okay, well, I don't care about this one, but maybe I'll do that later. And what if they had Injustice, like heroes and villains?
Yep.
Like red outfits versus blue outfits. Like I wonder if Dragon Ball had that. If they were like, I don't know if there's easy ways to delineate, members of that roster between like one type of fighter versus another
yeah.
type
You
of fighter.
totally
Yeah.
could. Like you could envision in fighters right now, like a weekend where it's Goku versus Vegeta.
Yeah.
Right. And
just- yeah,
you
and-
could play into so many things. And I mean, as a fan of Dragon Ball, I think that would be pretty fun. And I think that is something that Splatoon just absolutely crushed. And
That's
I
a really
want
fun
more
point,
games.
Jones.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought that was a great point.
And because I think like fighting games will do factions sometimes, like Mortal Kombat is just like I'm in the Sub-Zero faction.
Yeah.
But like it's just a weekend. It's just you make a choice now and it's over at the end of the weekend. I love that. That's good. Great
Yeah.
tip, Jones.
I think, yeah, again, when you're talking about the casual and stuff, I think for a lot of people, is like, if you're not into fighting games and being in that competitive scene, it's not that like, oh, this game is crap.
Yeah.
It's like, you buy the game, you check it out, and then like, you pull it out when your friends come over. And like, that's all you're looking for. You're not looking to like get in and like rank up and study and do all this stuff. You're just looking to have a good Dragon Ball fighting game that you can play with your friends, when they come over for pizza or something.
Yeah, I don't think a fighting game will ever be PUBG or Call of Duty.
No.
Yeah,
It
but
takes like a commitment. It takes a type of person, I think.
we're focusing on the drop off right now, but I think you need to also take the long view on it. The legs that Dragon Ball FighterZ has, and I really do think it will have legs. I think it being at Evo is a huge deal.
Yeah.
And you will see a bump. And the thing is, because it is also tied with Dragon Ball, anything that's going on in Dragon Ball could also potentially give a bump to fighters. If you are looking for that fix, this is obviously a very popular, well-regarded game that you could jump into. Like the story is not completely written on fighters yet, particularly with what they also announced for DLC as well. So
Cool.
And you have discounts for those things. So if it's like Sidekicks weekend, have discounts on the Sidekicks. Like they're just like if you want to, it
Now you're
costs
getting-
less points.
Now you're getting devious, man.
You jump in, yeah.
It's good stuff, dude. Hi, allies. I know you said you weren't going to do anything special for the 100th episode, but I was wondering if you could do a rap like Invisible Walls did for the 200th episode. It seems like you guys rap a lot anyway, so I don't see why it should be a problem. Love and respect, Harvell.
Easiest thing in the world.
Well, I think we could do one.
No.
Yeah. Like do you remember we used to do like raps at the beginning of this podcast? Do you remember that?
Oh yeah.
It was
well,
before
like
we did.
once.
It was before we did word of the. Yeah, it lasted like 3 weeks, and we did word of the day. Then we did prove a ticket, and
Right.
then we did goals.
Remember
It
this
ended
being
for a
pretty
reason.
awkward?
Yeah,
Yeah.
But I mean, just for
I'm
like,
pretty I'm pretty sure I avoided. I don't know how I avoided it. Maybe it was at a preview event, but I did not have to participate in that
Ducking out.
Invisible Walls rap.
well,
then I
this
got
is your
you later
chance. Yeah, let's
with
do
your
this
nutrition
one.
rap.
Let's do this rap. 100
Not
episodes.
live on the podcast, no.
Well, just like the theme is 100 episodes, and like Jones, I'll toss it to you. So I'll start. I'll get us a beat. 100 episodes. Jones.
It's been a long day. I'm still jet lagged.
Ben. Ben. 100 episodes.
I can't.
Blood.
Boop 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 boop.
You didn't get me or Ben, you're not gonna get blood.
Boop.
I'm so bummed. Nobody's gonna rap.
No.
All right. You know what?
Okay,
What?
I got one rap in me a year, I think. That's,
Right.
Well, why would you rap for that and not for like the 100th episode of Easy Eyes podcast? You know what? I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna imagine a rap. How about that?
Okay.
I'm just gonna
Okay.
imagine my own rap.
Your show, dude.
Okay. Yeah, this'll work. Okay, 100 episodes. Where do I start? He was a boy, she was a girl. Can I make it any more obvious? He was a punk, she did ballet. What more can I say? He wanted her, she'd never tell. Secretly, she wanted him as well. But all of her friends stuck up their nose. They had a problem with his baggy clothes. We're going down, down in an earlier round. And sugar, we're going down Swing, swing, swing from the tangles of my heart is crushed by a former love in this club. Infinite content, we're infinitely content. Cause we lost it all, nothing lasts forever. I'm sorry I can't be perfect. Infinite content, we're infinitely content. Now it's just too late, and we can't go back. I'm sorry, I can't be perfect. 5 years from now, she sits at home, feeding the baby, she's all alone. She turns on TV, guess who she sees? Skater boy rocking up MTV. She calls up her friends, they already know, and they've all got tickets to see his show. She tags along, stands in the crowd, looks up at the man that she turned down in an earlier round. And sugar, we're going down. Swing, swing, swing from the tangles of my heart is crushed by a former love in this club.
Okay.
How good is it?
Not that good. So let's play a game. Where does that game start? We're on several pages here. Here it is. Okay. Congratulations, allies. You made it to 100. I have a game for you today. It's called Know Your Podcast.
No.
You've all said some memorable things these past 2 years, so I thought I'd present some quotes, and you could try and guess who said them during this
So
podcast.
much work. This took work.
Yeah.
This is
Oh, yeah,
hours
exactly.
and hours
Yeah,
and
yeah.
hours and hours of work. Impressive. Wow.
You can keep score or just keep it jolly. We're going to keep it jolly. Okay, it's been a pleasure to witness your growth of your content and all-around character these past 2 years. Here's to podcast 2049 plus. Love and respect, Monkey D. Luffy. Okay,
Is this just is this all 9 allies or is it just us on this panel?
I think it's everyone.
everybody,
Oh boy.
except for Don,
Except for Don.
who rarely appears on this podcast.
Got uranium.
So podcast 90, just 10 episodes ago. This was in December of 2017. Here's our quote: Bayonetta 2 is a great game, so now people will finally play it. Platinum will get the sales they deserve for that game, and it's going to make people excited for Bayonetta 3, which will probably sell really well too.
Michael Huber.
I would say you, but if you say Michael Huber, then if you don't think you said that,
Got a guess, Blood?
Then it's Damiani.
It is Damiani. Yeah, I love that. That could have been anyone.
yeah. No, I didn't say that.
Rewinding further back to podcast 80. This was from sorry, I forgot how to read months. October of 2017.
Strange thing to read.
Yeah.
Okay.
Constantly in that game, when I beat something, I felt like I did that. I can do this. In a weird way that doesn't sound true, but at the same time was very true for me. It was like, no man can do this. Stick with it. It may take several tries, but you can do it. It was a lesson that I very much needed, and it kind of fortified me in a way that I wasn't expecting.
Ian.
I'm gonna say me.
It was Ben.
Oh, nice.
We were talking about games that changed you in a positive way.
Fortified.
Yes.
There's only a couple people that are classy enough to use
It's not coming out of my
fortified.
mouth.
No, it's just that was such a crucial moment in my life. That's all.
Ooh.
Cool.
Yeah.
Going to podcast 70. While The Walking Dead Season 1 game was praised as this indie hit, I feel like they've grown so much in this time, but it's been this buildup of problems with every single season of their games. Crashes and bugs, and every time I play one of these games,
is
I'm
Huber.
battling
Definitely
technical
This is definitely Huber.
I was waiting for him to finish, but yeah.
That's an old Huber grudge. That's an easy one, yeah.
That's definitely Huber. This is fun.
That was in Telltale announces 3 new games happened in that episode. Podcast 60. GameStop, I got a tip for you. If you change your pre-owned stickers on the box and make them easily removable and it will not damage the box, I would buy more games from you, period.
I feel that way.
Ian? Brad? Ian would be my first choice. Brad second.
It's neither of those.
Me?
No,
It's gotta be Huber again.
it's Huber again.
I was torn between Brad
I was
and
gonna
Huber.
say like, sounds like Ian's cadence, but like I don't think Ian is a big
GameStop, I got a tip for you.
physical.
You can hear Huber
yeah,
say
that I got a tip for you.
Yeah,
That was such
okay.
a Brad or Huber thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the topic that week was Ghost Recon Wildlands is the best-selling video game of 2017 at that point.
Yo, those pre-owned stickers suck though.
Yeah.
They suck.
It's a good rant. Really good rant. Going back to podcast 50. It'll be really interesting to see next year if we can just get this flood of Wii U games on Switch when they see how good Mario Kart does. Like, whoa, get Bayonetta. Get Bayonetta.
Brad?
No,
Thought it was me, but
it's Jones.
oh, okay.
Why did you say no?
Bringing up Bayonetta specifically. Were we talking about Bayonetta?
No, we're talking about Nintendo Switch post-launch conversation. Yeah, this
I
was
just
before
threw
Bayonetta.
out Bayonetta.
You threw out Bayonetta, yes. It was before it was even announced, yeah.
They grow up so fast.
This actually
trained me
says,
well, man.
it says, you called it, Jones.
You're
So,
slowly
yeah.
conditioning me to be a better gamer.
Yeah. But also a good industry analyst.
Yeah.
The flood of,
Yeah.
quote unquote. I was like, that's me. I think, yeah.
The flood of is
Yeah,
a Jones phrase. Podcast 40. My favorite at the movie theater is the dude in front of me that just turns on his phone brightness to the max. Just turn down the brightness, dude. If you have to
Ian?
be on your
Brad
phone,
knows,
I guess, but just turn down the brightness, man.
Ian or Brad? Or Huber?
It's Jones.
Oh,
really?
That's Jones. That's your rant, man.
What? Guy in the.
We were talking about movie theater pet peeves.
Oh.
My favorite at the movie theater is the dude in front of me that just turns on the brightness to the max. Just turn down the brightness, dude. If you have to be on your phone, I guess, but just turn the brightness down, man. It's a Jones rant.
That's like a year ago, though, right? At this point.
Yeah, that was Christmas of 2016.
Wow.
Yeah, dude.
Wow, just the language there didn't strike me as Jones. That's interesting. Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Podcast 30. 2D platformers. They are around. There has been a resurgence, and they are in different forms. A lot of them are done by indie companies, of course, but 2D platforming is represented. 3D platforming is almost non-existent.
Kyle.
Damiani.
No.
Huber.
Ian.
Daniel Bloodworth.
Ah.
Oh, okay.
Blood. Cruel words here, man. Well, no, we're talking about the current state of the platforming genre. 3D platforming is almost non-existent. You know what? You were telling the truth at the time.
I'm not very good at this game.
Mario Odyssey had not even happened yet, you know? So it's like, yeah, I get it. Get that perspective.
Pre-Hat in Time?
Yeah.
Oh, just a brief pause. Amanda's playing Odyssey now, and she played it on the plane. We were coming back from Florida, and I love she's just like finishes a section and just like puts the Switch down for a second, turns to me. She's like, "This is a really good game."
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
It absolutely is. Podcast 20. I went to the ice cream shop, and everyone there was very kind to me. And as I looked over the various flavors, my mouth did begin to salivate. How could I ever choose?
Ian?
Ian.
No.
It's not Ian?
It's not Ian.
Huber?
No.
Brad. Kyle.
Yes.
Okay.
So
I'm glad there was a Kyle one.
salivated
Finally.
someone. Come on.
this was a trick one because the topic was public radio voices.
Yeah,
we were
yeah.
making fun of how public radio people speak.
Oh.
And so I was just rattling off how
Oh,
I
you were doing
think,
an
just
impression.
like,
Okay.
yeah, I went to the
Good
ice
pick,
cream
good
shop
pick,
the
good
other day.
pick.
Yeah. Okay, podcast 10. Here's my problem with EA. The last 2 years, their press conferences have been gormless. They're announcing games 4 years in advance.
That's Ian.
There's not, yeah, that's
Let's come on.
That was from the
Brad.
challenge. We had to
Oh,
fit
yeah.
that word in there.
That was word of the day.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, gormless was word of the day. So that's funny. That ties in. Yep. Great job. Podcast 1. It's from March 23rd, 2016. So it's just 2 days after our first day existing. If you watch it, we're so giddy. You know, we do have just the one microphone and 4 wooden chairs, but we're so excited. I think that's where the market is, unfortunately, with racing games right now. It's like you either hit it out of the park completely or you've got a rough time with these big studios, publishers.
Damiani. Like
Brandon
Bloodworth.
Jones, what did I tell you about the first episode of the Easy Eyes
Oh,
podcast?
duh. Sorry. Yeah.
Blood.
That was Daniel Bloodworth.
Okay.
Yeah, that
That
was
was
when,
the easy pick, but yeah.
That's the thing. It was like it felt too easy.
Yeah.
It's like that's a typecast. That's too easy.
Evolution Studios had just shut down that week, and so that's why we're talking about that. Cool. Let's
very, very, very cool. That was,
fun
that was,
game,
That was
right?
very
Yeah.
enjoyable.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for putting that together.
Okay, let me just do one more quick one that's just a nice thing. This comes from Christian Thomas. Side note, I seriously don't envy Bossy having to judge which question discussion is deemed worthy each week for this segment. I'm always impressed by the broad creativity this community has inspired in one another. I suppose this is my way of saying thank you to everybody who has been involved in the podcast for the last 100 episodes and their contributions to this journey we've shared together. Love and respect to you all. Figured the sentiment was worthy of some caps lock. Cool. Love that. It's not a side note because it made it into the podcast. Yeah, I owe a great deal to the people who send us love and respect questions. It's
really cool stuff.
Really cool stuff. Sometimes the most fun we have in a podcast, sometimes the most interesting conversations we have in the podcast, all come from our community and not from me and not as the, podcast producer, So it's actually, I'm deeply appreciative of it and the creativity people pump into this segment every week. I like that a lot. Yeah. And so, I want to say thank you to you for making that possible for the last 100 episodes. Thank you for the work you put in because, for the 4 that get in or the 3 or the 2, there's still many, many more that are just as thoughtful, just as creative that don't get in every week. And so, I appreciate that. Thank you for continuing to try and make good stuff.
Also, $5 and above on patreon.com/easyallies. Not something to sneeze at. Yep. Excellent contribution.
Oh yeah, thank you. That you're right. You keep us afloat. Alone, yes.
For paying the price of admission to submit the questions and then possibly not having it selected and then coming back the next month. To try again. Thank you.
Oh, I should have admitted or should have explained when we just did and for that reason. That's going to be attached to the love and respect post every week. And so if you want to send in for that reason, if you want to send in an innovative and creative game idea briefly. That'll be again with that $5.
And I was a bit confused. Doesn't have to be an idea of a game. Can be an idea for a game, something to implement in any game or genre or an existing game or something. It doesn't have to be the pitch of the entire game.
No, it's the pitch of the entire game. It will always end with
some light bulb.
It will always end with a title.
Ah, okay.
And then so who's in?
Okay, but the mode or the feature can have a title or something. Yeah.
No, John.
No, the game does. Sorry. Sorry.
Pitch me a game. I mean, maybe after 100 episodes of doing that segment. Then maybe we can do that, but yeah. Cool. It is time for bets. Next week's bet, is about Moss, which is coming to PSVR next Tuesday, February 27th.
So adorable.
Yeah, that's a really, really cool VR game. What will the file size be, though? Brandon Jones.
4.5 gigabytes.
Wow.
Daniel Bloodworth.
I thought I was low. 6 gigabytes.
Ben Moore.
I thought I was kind of low. 12.4 gigabytes.
It's pretty good.
I thought I was just right. 7.2 gigabytes. Let me lock that in. Last week's bet was about Metal Gear Survive, which released today. We didn't quite do everything we were supposed to. We were going to stream it today, and we did do that, but we weren't able to create a character because Jones had to make a man. Had to go ahead and try to make some guy who just looks like him.
I was 4 a.m, jet lagged, completely forgot this was a part of the bet.
We were betting on how many hair options there would be for a woman. Jones, you bet 12. Brad bet 12. Ian bet 16. I bet 24. There were 5 or 6 hair options for the woman.
For the man, so assuming.
No, we looked it up.
We did? Oh,
Ian
okay.
YouTubed it. He looked at somebody else's video of creating a character.
Excellent.
And it was 5 or 6. I don't remember which, but it doesn't matter. It's irrelevant because, Jones, you and Brad won a point. So you'll split that. So that brings us to Red Grouse's 4. Gorgeous Gorillas 2. Tied with me, the Droopy Eagle with 2. Jones, yeah, I know. You're not feeling the pressure. You're feeling good on your own team.
As you win more, the pressure builds.
Yeah.
When if I had no points, I'd be like, all right.
Jones, I forgot something that happened.
Nap time.
When we split, so we did win the Poison Thumb. The Poison Thumb is, of course, the ability to cancel out anyone's bet. We both have it. We cannot use it on each other. So we split the Poison Thumb.
Okay.
The first person to use it, it's gone. You can't use it on me. You can use it to anyone on the other two, or I could use it first. So it's a race to use the Poison Thumb at the most opportune moment.
Or I wait until you use it, and then you're the villain. It makes me look good.
Precisely that. Yeah. I suspect neither of us will use the Poison Thumb. Okay. Unless I get a really good Damiani opportunity.
Or just have a really bad day.
Yes. I want to use that Poison Thumb. I should talk a little more about Patreon because, we did talk about how those people keep us afloat, Jones, at the $5 tier. They also get the podcast 2 days early. So definitely check out patreon.com/easyallies to see how all of that works, but also to see everything else we do and everything else we can do for you because it's not just the podcast. It's live streams. It's reviews. Which, hey, we got a new review system, which is interesting. Check out that thing. And we do many, many things. Podcasts, videos, crazy stuff, normal stuff.
Well, and along with that, all the sponsors every month. That's pretty crazy.
Yes.
That's pretty crazy.
Jones, you said somber tapestries 100 times.
I did.
Somber tapestry, excuse me. It's never pluralized. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty crazy, huh? Nice job, dude.
And we have an open slot right now for next month.
Okay.
But that doesn't actually happen that often.
To get an open slot?
Yeah.
Cool.
Like, like as you said, like they've been here through that whole thing,
Yeah.
A lot of people that have been on for a few months had to take a break, but then come right back.
Like, I want Scorn to launch, but I also don't want them to launch.
Oh, yeah. We're hosed when Scorn is finally out.
Like, that's like a whole new nightmare.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. If you want your copy read by Brandon Jones, check out patreon.com/easyallies. You know what? We don't do goals anymore. We're all good.
We're all good.
Yeah, we don't have to worry about that anymore. Okay, so Blood, you and Jones will have to split up rights and responsibilities. One of you will tell us your Twitter handle. One of you will get to promote any Easy Allies video we'd like to promote. One of you will get to the final word on anything you've disagreed with, you want to reiterate, or just thought of just now. And one of you will get to sign off with your trademark sign off. Let's do a draft. Jones, since you have the highest score, you get first pick of the draft.
Final word, please.
Okay, Blood,
Video.
Jones,
Sign off.
and Blood, that leaves you with Twitter handle.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
My Twitter handle is @dbloodworth2. So yeah, if you want to see what I'm streaming and weird random thoughts, midnight screenshot posts of random games downloading to my PS4 that I don't expect, and all kinds of other oddities.
And sometimes sweet things.
Sweet things.
Yeah, like when you just do photos of your vacations.
Oh yeah. Anytime I go somewhere cool, I just post a bunch of photos, which people tell me I take really good photos, and I don't think
You do.
I do. I just go to really cool places. It don't matter how bad your photos are.
All right. I guess, Jones, since you had final word, so you'll just do your title. So what's the video you want to promote?
What's the video? I don't know exactly when it's gonna go up, but it's pretty much done. New Game Sleuth.
Yes. Yeah.
Good call.
Dragon Ball Z Budokai 3. Pretty crazy amount of effort put in to do all the research and all the testing as usual. So yeah, pretty fascinating.
It's a chin stroker.
Yeah.
and interesting an interesting build up to Damiani's eventual verdict.
Yes.
I thought
Yeah.
that was interesting.
I think when you look at what they're investigating, there's a lot more to it than you would initially expect, which is cool.
Yeah. It's cool. Cool show. Brandon Jones, final word and your sign off.
I'm gonna have 1.5 final words. Just no more raps, Kyle. Ever. I mean, we had to sit here for
I'm not even allowed to imagine
We had
that?
to sit here for almost 2 minutes, and well, what are we supposed to do? I'm just sitting. It's a pace killer.
Give me that at
And
least,
it-
Jones.
all right. Okay. But if you
Oh, no,
want to do
I'm
your
sorry.
own little
Actually-
private raps, I'm just saying for the table. Like we're not participating. It's just not.
Jones, because you said I want 1.5, I assumed that was your half of
That's
your
my
final
half.
word.
Yeah.
Okay, because that's why I interrupted. You can't have 1.5, especially if you're just going to Okay. You can have a final word, and if you wish to use your final word to now just say that again without me interrupting, you totally can. Please take it away.
So tempting.
Yeah.
But I will offer my final word to our absolutely unbelievable community for watching, listening to us for 100 episodes, going from wooden chairs to a couch with strange arms that Huber kept smacking on both sides of him, to this desk, to whatever we do in the future. The one of my biggest fears, one of the biggest mistakes I don't want to make with Easy Allies is ever being complacent, ever waking up and thinking, yes, we deserve this, that this is something that is just going to be there every single day. The support that we get is a return for people daily, weekly, and monthly that come back, that continue to invest in us, that continue to say, yes, we like what you do, we want you to continue doing that and keep getting better. I hope for our sake and for your sake, we have gotten better and you have appreciated the work that we've done over those 100 episodes. It feels like 100 and it doesn't feel like 100 at the same time.
Yeah.
We are truly blessed because of all our support. Quiet, Kyle. Cheers. I am enjoying these microtransactions.